In this problem, we are given a demand and a supply function, and we want to find the equilibrium point, the consumer surplus at that point, and also the producer surplus at that point. So first, let's solve for the equilibrium point. Equilibrium point is where demand and supply cross, so we're going to set those equations equal and solve. Okay, so I'm going to add the 5/6 over here to the right and subtract the 4 over here. So 1/2 plus 5/6, just some scratch work here. 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6 plus the 5/6 is going to give me 8/6. 8/6 reduces to 4/3 x. Now let's multiply both sides by 3, so 24 equals 4x, so x is 6. Okay, that's my equilibrium x, or my equilibrium quantity, Q. I also am going to need the price. Demand and supply both give us price, so it doesn't matter which function I plug into. I'm going to plug into supply. So 1/2 times x plus 4, that's 3 plus 4, or $7 is my equilibrium price. Okay, then we're just going to use the integral formulas for producer and consumer surplus. So for part B, let's see, first we're finding consumer surplus. So consumer surplus is defined as the integral from 0 to Q of d of x dx minus QP. Q is the quantity and P is the price. So we're finding consumer surplus at the equilibrium point. So this is the quantity and this is the price that we're going to use. So we're going to integrate from 0 to 6, the demand function, negative 5/6x plus 12 dx. That's all contained. That's the end of the integral right there, is what that dx indicates. Minus QP, minus the product of 6 and 7 minus 42. Okay, from here we just compute this integral. So we have negative 5/6 times the antiderivative of x is 1/2 x squared plus the antiderivative of 12 is 12x, and we'll evaluate all of that from 0 to 6 and then subtract off 42. Make sure your 42 is not inside this integral part, okay? It's not being evaluated. So plugging in 6, let's see, we have, first let's combine these fractions. So negative 5/12. Okay, let's go ahead and plug in the 6. 6 squared is 36 plus 12 times 6 minus, if we plug in 0, we're just going to get 0. Okay, and you guys can compute that number to see what you get for consumer surplus. Then next is producer surplus. So producer surplus is QP minus the integral from 0 to Q of S of x, supply function, dx. The product of Q and P is still 42, minus the integral from 0 to 6 of the supply function is here 1/2 x plus 4. dx, we'll do a little bit just to make sure you're on the right track here. But from here, it's purely computational. So it's 42 minus, and then here, make sure you put a parenthesis because it's minus the entire integral here. Okay, we already have a 1/2 out front, so when we anti-differentiate x and we put another half out front, it's going to combine to 1/4 x squared plus 4x, evaluated from 0 to 6. So then we plug in 6. So 4 times 36 minus 4 times 6 is 24. Minus plugging in 0 just gives us 0. And calculate that number to get your producer surplus.